Hi everyone, this is Sam with Wine News in 5. Before I get to global news, a couple big ticket items from our team. You may have noticed that our homepage has been redesigned to showcase more of what we have to offer. The Oxford Companion to Wine and the World Atlas maps tended to get lost on our old homepage, and we really wanted to improve accessibility and readability, especially for those of you who access our site from your phones. While the new homepage isn't perfect, it is better and will continue to make improvements with the help of our development team. Meanwhile, yesterday we continued our re-release of Vintner's Tales. This week's episode highlights D. Byrne & Co., an award-winning independent wine merchant established in 1879 in Lancashire, famous for its low prices. Jancis interviews the fourth generation to run the shop, Philip and Andrew Byrne. I've never met any of the Byrnes, but after watching this episode, I will definitely be adding an extra few days to my next trip to the UK to go visit D. Byrne & Co. and meet the fifth generation. On to the news. Today, I'll update you on Trump's job reinstatement and tariff announcements, the legalization of organic de-alcoholized wine in the EU lowering the minimum alcohol requirements of sherry, a decline in wine consumption in Germany, Bordeaux's smallest harvest in 30 years, and the passing of Peter M F Sichel. First up, Trump's job reinstatements and tariff announcements. Last week, I told you about the Trump administration's mass firings, which impacted the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the USDA. According to AP News, this week the administration hired back many of the roughly 700 FDA employees who were fired. The FDA did not disclose exact numbers of firings and reinstatements. As far as the USDA is concerned, all 6 scientists I mentioned last week, plus 2 more I hadn't heard were fired, were rehired. These 8 scientists have resumed their work on smoke impact, grape breeding, grapevine viral diseases, mealybugs, spotted lanternflies, and precision viticulture. However, just yesterday, Trump fired nearly 900 employees who work for NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which is the federal organization responsible for weather and climate forecasts, among many other tasks crucial to farmers, which of course includes wine growers. He has also threatened to lay off an additional 1,000 people from this organization. And Trump's plans for tariffs may be moving forward. On February 27th, AP News reported that he stated on his social media platform, Truth Social, that he'd double China's current 10% tariff and bring tariffs of 25% on goods from Mexico and Canada into effect on March 4th. However, in a meeting with reporters the day before, he'd said the tariffs would go into effect on April 2nd. He also said that 25% tariffs on EU imports will be announced very soon. Honestly, I don't really know what to say about this. The only surety seems to be that tariffs will continue to be a moving target. Next, the legalization of organic de-alcoholized wine in the EU. On February 26th, the official journal of the European Union published an amendment to regulations to allow for de-alcoholized organic wine. Previously, a wine could not qualify for organic certification if it had been de-alcoholized. The new amendment allows vacuum evaporation and distillation, as long as temperatures don't exceed 75 degrees Celsius and pore size and any filtration device doesn't exceed 0.2 micron. The final product cannot exceed 0.5% alcohol, which means that partially de-alcoholized wine remains ineligible for organic certification. A few points on this. Firstly, if you buy organic products because you believe they are environmentally beneficial, you should know that de-alcoholization technology has a large carbon footprint. Second, it is bizarre to me that regulations are excluding partially de-alcoholized wines from certification. It's been stated that this decision comes down to simplifying the massive amount of work required to make all de-alcoholized wines, not just organic ones, better able to be regulated under PGI and AOC specifications. But why bring in PGI and AOC specifications in the first place? De-alcoholization in the context of this amendment, and with most technologies that are commercially available, requires splitting a wine into component parts of volatile esters, alcohol, and water that contains tannins and acids, and then piecing it back together, usually adding some sort of sugar or filler to bring back the texture previously provided by alcohol. In this process, you destroy the acid tannin alcohol balance that would be characteristic of a region. So in my view, AOC or PGI specifications, which were partially established to protect the regional signature of a wine, shouldn't really be involved, which is actually something that comes into play in my next piece of news. Meiningers reported on February 22nd that the European Commission has lowered the 15% minimum alcohol content for sherry to 14%. However, the Sherry Regulatory Council has delayed its implementation, citing the need to complete a study underway that's examining the potential consequences of a reduction in alcohol on sensory qualities. It remains to be seen if the change will be allowed to be implemented. Moving on to a decline in wine consumption in Germany. In 2024, the German Wine Institute, DWI, commissioned an analysis of the German wine market by Nielsen IQ. Results were announced on February 26th by Wines of Germany and showed a 4% decline in wine sales with a 5% decline for local wines. DWI Managing Director Monica Rühle suggests that the steeper decline in local wine sales was due to increasing price sensitivity and the higher price of local wines compared with imports from elsewhere in the EU. On to Bordeaux's smallest harvest in 30 years. On February 14th, France 24 reported that Bordeaux's 2024 harvest was the smallest since 1991. This is due to a variety of factors, including government-subsidized vine pull schemes and inclement weather. From 2023 to 2024, Bordeaux's production dropped by more than 13%, from 3.8 million liters to 3.3 million liters. We will have a detailed report on the vintage on Monday. Finally, the passing of Peter M F Sichel. On Monday, February 24th, the wine world lost the legendary Peter Sichel. This remarkable man was born in Germany. His family fled the Nazis. He ended up in Bordeaux, eventually had to escape to the US, joined the US Army in the Office of Strategic Services, which is a precursor to the CIA, and then eventually became the head of the CIA in Berlin. After he left the CIA, he took over his family's wine business and began working with the drinks giant Schieffelin, with whom he developed a marketing strategy for one of his family's brands, Blue Nun. I'll stop there, but you should go read Jancis's profile of him, available free on our site. That's all for this episode of the Wine News. If you enjoyed this newscast and you'd like to see it continue, please subscribe to jancisrobinson.com. And if you have breaking news in your area, please email news@jancisrobinson.com. Thanks.